Welcome back to the channel, guys. One of potentially the most controversial videos incoming that I've made on this channel, and we're talking automatic versus manual VB WRX. And we're gonna tackle an unbiased comparison between owning a 2022 plus manual versus automatic or CVT WRX and what are pros and cons, which is better. This is coming out of a fortunate experience that I had where I had the opportunity to drive a CVT VB WRX for a day. And on top of that, if you guys follow the channel for a long time, you'll know that I actually owned a CVT WRX for almost 2 years, maybe over 2 years, I think. And that was my first WRX. Now, there were a couple reasons for me buying that WRX that was a CVT. We'll talk about it later in terms of the pros and cons, but I'm gonna go out and just start by saying that, holy crap, was the automatic WRX a heck of a lot of fun in a way that the manual is absolutely not. And while that sinks in for a second and you guys start to boil in your, whatever, because some of you guys are gonna love that, some of you guys are gonna hate that. And I'll preface, I've been driving a manual WRX for the last 7 years or something. So again, this is a pretty unbiased review. I've owned both, I've now driven both and had fun with both. But a quick, if you haven't already subscribed, please consider subscribing. And if you are subscribed and you're watching the rebuild, because I'm rebuilding a blown engine 2016 WRX from blown engine to track monster, I'm waiting on parts. So there's a scheduled intermission in the videos for about a week because I'm waiting for parts to be delivered and I need the parts to continue the build. But if you think that's cool and want to learn something about these cars, I take the entire car apart, literally piece by piece, because every single thing on it has to get replaced. So press that subscribe button and let's get back into the pre-programmed information here. So I spent a full day with a CVT WRX, and I have to say that it was fun in a way that the manual WRX just does not offer. Now, aside from the large differences between the two, which let me spend 30 seconds talking about because that's all I really need, is the manual is a manual. You get a physical control over your gear shifting and everything that falls underneath that basket. And the manual has less power limitations and torque limitations in terms of tuning and, development. And that also means there's more aftermarket options in terms of making power and just parts in general. Manual WRXs will always be faster when tuned. I would go as far as saying that stock, it's a little bit more of a question because it's very much driver related. In terms of a tuned vehicle, the manuals will always make more power. So if you're looking for that, they're always going to be more fun. There's the real difference. The CVT, I would actually even go as far as saying it's a lot easier to drive. It's a lot more comfortable. It's a lot more luxurious. You get to feel like you're in a car of the caliber that you're in. You don't really have to think about driving it, which is nice. And that when you want to have power, you get to focus on your innate experience. So let's dive right in. So look, I love the manual WRX. I think you're more connected and it's generally more fun to drive. But I will say that there is this aspect of the CVT that is indescribable in that I'm driving a regular, normal car until I'm not, and I don't need to think about shifting. I don't need to think about what I'm doing. I don't need to think about all that, which, yes, can be fun, but it also can be fun with these cars that have a high level of responsiveness, a high level of feedback, to put both my hands on the wheel and just drive the car. Like drive it. And the feedback and that siloed in space, like it was just different, right? I was able to be one with the car in a different way. With the manual, I think you're intimately connected with everything that's mechanically going on with the car, engine, transmission, RPM, function, operation. You're connected in a very, very intimate way. But with the CVT, you're almost entirely connected in the experience of the driving feedback, where it's because it's the only thing you get, but because you get to hone into that experience, you can actually have a lot of fun. I would go one step farther and said, let's say I was on a really tight, swervy mountain road where it's just left, right, left, right, left, right. And I was in between second and fourth gear, right? I'd almost want the CVT because I'd be much more in tune with pushing the car. And I think maybe that's a better way of saying it is when you drive a manual, you're focused on making sure the car operates optimally, and you're also focused on getting the most out of it from a handling. Now, a really, really good driver, which I will say, I would consider myself to be one of those things, a really, really good driver, and focus on both. But I'm just saying that no matter how good of a driver you are, the extra focus that you get to put into driving this car as it should be driven in terms of a suspension, weight balancing, the side to side, the G-force is heightened, right? And this car excels so well in that environment, right? This car is designed to be driven that way in such a strong position that I will say that I had more fun with that aspect of it than I'd care to share, because I was really blown away. It was so comfortable and so fun at the same time that it gave me pause. It was like, wow, this could be something. I genuinely feel strongly that I think that if Subaru delivered a dual clutch WRX that was able to handle, 400 wheel horsepower, so it wouldn't bonk at some tuning, I genuinely think I probably would end up driving that at this point in my life. I genuinely think I would enjoy the car more if that's the case. Now, you have to say, there are some other aspects of the CVT. You've got all these other aspects that, if you live in a city, you have all these other positives where if you lived with less people or in a less dense area or a more rural area, the manual becomes easier on a lot of those same things. Traffic, city driving. I've driven a manual in Boston for 7-8 years of my life, and maybe even longer. That's crazy to say. And it sucks. There are aspects where I'm I don't want this car anymore, right? And no matter how much you love a manual, you're never going to get out of it. I've been in first gear, stop and go, for 3 to 4 hours at a time before, right? Pretty regularly. That's a commute in Boston. If you got to go from one side to the other, you're expecting 3 hours of never getting out of first gear. And full stops every, I would say every 15 seconds you go from engaging. It's basically if I were to mirror it, right? It's gear in, neutral, stop. Gear in, neutral, stop. Gear in, no, stop. You know what I mean? It's just I don't know, it's something. So that's essentially it. Now, I quite literally time boxed myself here and made sure I'd come to this parking spot to park so I wouldn't ramble on this video, because I think I wanted to just be very direct here, because there's a lot of hearsay and there's a lot of opinions here. But the short answer is, as somebody that loves the manual, the CVT was pretty awesome. So what I wanted to kind of convey in this video is, if you're not entirely sure which one you want, go out and drive one. And I say that as somebody that modifies their cars and everything, because you might find that you appreciate part of what makes the WRX in a different way. Power is absolutely not everything, and if you can silo in to 100% on the drivability of these cars, which probably is the most important part about these cars and what makes these cars what they are, that might be more fun. Now, I'm not saying with a manual you can't do that, but if I were to guess, with a manual you can get to 90% of that honed inness about the drivability, where with the CVT you can get to 100%, and it's just a different experience. And if you haven't done it and you disagree with me, you got to try it before anything else. And yes, please leave me a comment if you disagree, but I want to hear in that comment whether or not you've driven a CVT WRX before. And still leave the comment, but just let me know, because it will help me understand, and it'll help you understand, and it'll help everyone else understand that just kind of everything under the sun. So hopefully you guys enjoyed that video. I certainly enjoyed that video, and my intent is to bring in more CVT versus manual content on this channel, because I genuinely think that car is a lot more than I thought it was. I hadn't been in a CVT VB WRX. I think that the CVT VA WRX misses the mark. You don't have enough power out of the gate, and you don't have some of the other features that make it a little bit more honed in. So I still think if you're driving a VA WRX, unless you need an automatic, the manual is the way to go. But with the VB, I really honestly think that's kind of changed. So I plan on doing more videos. We'll do some 0 to 60s. We'll do some drag races. I just got to find somebody that will donate more time of more time of their CVT to me, or help me out. So if you live in the Boston area or near the New England area at all, and you drive an automatic, I'd love to hear from you, because I need one. But that is the intent. I'd love to bring more comparison content, and that is my current intent, so you guys can be more informed buyers and more informed consumers, because it's not like we should completely write off one of these cars. And the CVT is becoming much more, it's a much more, or the ratio of CVTs to manuals is constantly increasing because more and more people are adopting it. So if you haven't already subscribed to the build that we're doing or any of the other videos, please consider subscribing. If you made it this far through the video, I love to see your comments letting me know that you made it this far through the video in the comment section below. I quite literally see all of those comments and I will respond to you because you guys are my favorite viewers, and I can say that now because the rest of the viewers that didn't make it this far aren't here, so I'm not being that offensive. Sorry if this is your first time hearing that at these videos, but sucks to suck if you haven't made it this far. So I appreciate you guys, and I'll see you guys in the next video.